quick review before we get started. Some of the elements of art, which remember are the ingredients in an artwork that we're going to be using today, is line. Line is a segment that's created by 2 points. It can be all different kinds of forms. It can be swirl, it can be straight, diagonal, zigzag, or wavy. We're also going to be using shape. Shape is like line, but it is an enclosed line. So as you can see, all of these are connected, where lines are just 2 open points. So we're also going to be using texture. Texture is how something feels, and it can be an actual way that it feels, or it can be implied, meaning that in a flat piece of artwork, it may look like it has texture, but it's really just the artist that has created that effect. So we're using line, shape, and texture. And then the principles of design, which remember is like the recipe of your artwork. It's how those ingredients get put together to create a wonderful masterpiece. So we're going to be creating our artwork using pattern, which is a repetition of line and shape. It's also going to have some movement. We're also going to be using variety. So we're going to have a variation of line and shape that is going to create our masterpiece. The other review I want to go over is our warm and cool color families. So remember, our warm colors are the colors that make us think of fire, which is our red, orange, and yellow. Our cool colors are the colors that make us think of water, springtime, which is our green, blue, and violet. So keep that in mind as we start this project, because you're gonna have to utilize that knowledge. Hi boys and girls, today we are going to be doing a super fun project, and we're gonna be using some supplies that I don't think you ever would have thought you could make art out of. I'm sure that you all have seen this before. This is a toilet paper roll. We're going to be using about 3 of them. You can also use a paper towel roll, which is longer. You would probably just need 1 or 1.5 of those. We're going to be using markers, glue, scissors, cardboard. So I got this cardboard from an Amazon box. You could use a cereal box, a snack box, any cardboard that you have around the house. You're gonna need to cut it into 2 identical sizes. You're gonna need some white paper and a pencil, and also water and a paintbrush if you have it. We are going to be making some spring relief sculptures. We're gonna be making one that's in cool colors, one that's in warm colors. So we have a flower and a sun. I've been saving a bunch of toilet paper rolls for an art project. I didn't know exactly what we would use it for, but I'm super excited about these. I think by looking at them, you would have never thought that they came from a toilet paper roll. So let's get started. Okay, so first thing you're gonna wanna do, like I said, get some cardboard. These came from an Amazon box, and I used these scissors to cut it off the end and then cut it in half. You might want to get a parent or guardian to help you, because cutting cardboard can be a little difficult. If you're using a cereal box, that cardboard is a little bit thinner, so it should be a lot easier to cut with scissors. So the first thing we are going to do is we're gonna take this cardboard and we're gonna put it in the middle of our paper. So you're gonna wanna make sure that the cardboard size is smaller than your paper, because we're actually going to cut tabs on this so that it can fit around the cardboard. Okay, so I've got my square, and like I showed you, we're going to be painting a background in both warm and cool colors. So I'm gonna show you all a trick using foil, water, and markers. So for this one, we're going to start by doing the cool colors. So I'm gonna, on my foil, color a little spot of green. And then I'm gonna color a little spot of blue. And then I'm gonna color a little spot of purple. Now, because the foil is a essentially like a shiny metal material, the marker is not gonna dry. It's gonna stay wet, which is gonna be perfect for us turning it into watercolor paint. So I'm gonna take my paintbrush in the water, I'm gonna dip it in the marker, and then I'm going to start filling in this square. So it's gonna be very light, which is exactly how we want it. So I'm gonna spend the next couple minutes filling this all in with cool colors, and you can do any pattern that you would like. Just make sure that you cover the whole square. Okay, beautiful. So now that I have the whole square covered, I am going to cut out the square, but I'm gonna wanna cut a little bit of a border because we are going to wrap this paper around the cardboard and we want to have tabs so that we can glue it on the back. So I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. You're kind of just eyeing it, but you want about that much of a border. And then to create our tabs, you're gonna start from the corner of the paper and you're gonna cut up to the corner of the square. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Corner of the paper to the corner of the square, corner of the paper to the corner of the square. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm gonna fold it on the pencil line. Okay, and then I'm also going to trim these triangles off. So you're gonna see where that pencil line that we traced earlier, you're gonna, almost like you're gonna cut across, but you're just cutting these corners off so that they are easily foldable around the cardboard. Perfect. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna take my cardboard, I'm gonna place my square, and this is where you're gonna flip it over because we're going to fold those tabs that we just created so that it's gonna cover the cardboard. So I'm gonna take my glue. A little glue goes a long way, so you just need a small little line. We don't wanna add globs of glue, but that is a good amount. I'm gonna do the same thing on all sides. Okay, so now when I flip it over, I've got my cardboard covered and it's a beautiful watercolor effect. So from here is where we are going to then use our toilet paper rolls to create a relief sculpture. So relief means that it is protruding from a flat surface. So a regular sculpture is something that you can walk around. So a statue of a person that you would see in a museum and you can walk around it, that is a sculpture. A relief sculpture is something that's on a flat surface and it protrudes from the surface. So here we're going to start on our cool background. We're going to create a spring flower. And then when we're done, I'm gonna have you do the same thing, but with a warm color background to create a sun. So I'm gonna show you just a few techniques and I'm gonna let you be creative in how you execute it on your board. So you're gonna take your paper towel or toilet paper roll and you're going to smush it. And from there, you're gonna start cutting strips of paper. or strips, little strips off of the roll. And you want them to be about the same thickness, but if they're a little different, that actually will add some nice variety to your artwork. Okay, so you can see right here, this creates the flower petal shapes that I had created on my artwork. So that can just start, you can start arranging it on your paper. You want to arrange it how you want it before you glue it down. So that is pretty good. So I'm going to then take my other paper, toilet paper roll, and start cutting. Okay, so now to create some of these swirls that you're seeing here, you're gonna take this circle and you're gonna just snip one of the ends so that it's unattached. And from here, you can start rolling the piece of cardboard. And I didn't do this on my flower, but one cool thing that you could do is add them to your petals, and you could add a couple in there. I added a swirl for the middle, and so I'm gonna do that right now. But there's lots of ways that you can be creative in how you lay out your flower. So you want to do it nice and tight because then it's going to start to unfold. So see, I'll add another one right here so you can see how it's going to look if that's something that you decide you would like to do. Okay, so another element that you can see in both of these are these little curlicues. So to do that, you trim it just like I had showed you before. And this time you're going to not twist it on itself, but you're going to twist it down. And this, for the flower, it created like a stem effect, like it's like a stem of the flower. You can add that on there. I added some curlicues that were attached to the flower. You can be creative in how you create your flower. You can also make these smaller. If you want to make a smaller curlicue, that's what I did on the sun. I had a long one, a short one, and then I had these smaller little petal shapes to look like rays. Okay, so once you get it all laid out on your cardboard, this is when you're gonna take the glue, and you want to be careful not to use a lot of glue. So you're gonna start with one piece at a time. You're gonna flip it over and you're gonna add just a small layer of glue. Oh, it would help if I open the glue. Okay, you're gonna add a small layer of glue on the edge. And this part's gonna take patience. So you are going to have to, once you get the glue, you're gonna have to hold it there for probably, I would say 15 seconds, just to make sure that it gets a good grip. So I'm gonna count to 15. All right, perfect. And so then from there, can move on to my other pieces. And for this, it's probably a good idea to start with the center first and then work your way out. I'm gonna add my glue here and then press it down. All right, boys and girls, from here, I want you to start working on your very own relief sculpture. Make sure that you make one warm color sculpture and one cool color sculpture. I can't wait to see what you create.